I wanted to start at the beginning of your career. As the Dean mentioned, you were educated at Cornell as an architect and a structural engineer, and planned to spend the rest of your career in the United States. But you returned to India, starting on the shop floor, and I wonder what that was like as a young man returning from the United States to India.
Been away for 10 years, and things had changed, and yet they had not changed, and the difference was quite substantive. Quite frankly, it was as much a cultural shock. I didn't return to India to spend time on the shop floor, so I didn't really understand what was being done, and several times during that period of time I thought of going back to the US and pursuing my career as an architect.
And you spent several years, as the Dean mentioned, moving around different parts of the Tata organization. Were you surprised when you got the call from your uncle in 1991 to be chairman of Tata?
Yes, I was. Mainly because there were many contenders for, not many, a handful of contenders for that position from his own team of people. And it happened very suddenly, and you begin to feel that a leader, he was there for 50 plus years as chairman, and you start to believe that somebody's immortal and that he's going to be there perpetually. So when he calls you in and says this is what he wants to do, it shakes you up, and suddenly you feel all alone.
Right. And you faced quite a formidable challenge, as the Dean mentioned. When you took over as CEO, the organization Tata was large and sprawling with independent business heads that regarded their own business as their own personal fiefdoms, didn't necessarily play together well. And you were in an economy that was changing rapidly. And your uncle was considered a titan of Indian business and very large shoes for a young CEO to fill. How did you go about establishing your credibility as a leader in those early days?
I had two problems. One were the actual market problems of a large business house that had operated very traditionally, and the other was internal to the company of several titans, if you might, who didn't want any change to take place, and I guess a certain amount of resentment also. So the first 5 years were akin to Clint Eastwood, if you might, which tended to be filled with trying to get these elderly, very prominent people out of the way. It was not done with bullets, it was done with persuasion, and so the first 5 years were spent in creating an environment where change was possible. And then I've been blessed with an organization that has been displaying considerable spirit in wanting to make a change. And many things that we did had not been done before, but I was always pleased to see that the response from the organization was tremendous. Without that, it could not have been done.